Obama just showed up to take over as president after Virginia riot makes sick claim about what Trump did. And in typical fashion, the former race-baiter-in-chief Barack Hussein Obama just couldn't help but inject his mug into yesterday's chaos in Charlottesville, Virginia. Although Barry hadn't tweeted since July 19 because he's been busy vacationing in luxurious destinations throughout the world, he managed to take time off from his busy schedule to tweet about the violent Charlottesville protest where people just plain and simply said enough is enough of the left's agenda to erase the history of this nation. And to top it all off, what does he do? He quotes the controversial figure that is Nelson Mandela. Which comes as no surprise since Mandela was for all intents and purposes a communist himself, but the left-wing propaganda machine helped him conceal his violent past. Mandela was the founder of Umkhonto, which was the terrorist army of the armed wing of the African National Congress. This army went on to play a key role in the embrace of the armed struggle after a general strike which failed to garner enough support. After this failure, Mandela then left South Africa on an international trip to garner support for a violent struggle against the South African government. He negotiated for aid for the African National Congress and various anti-American governments which included mainly East Germany and Communist China. Among the countries that pledged him full support were Communist Cuba and the Egyptian government of Gamal Abdel Nasser, who was also anti-colonialist. Mandela's international activities also included detailed meetings on strategy with Algeria's National Liberation Army. And what was even more crucial was the fact that the now-defunct Soviet Union provided all the military support needed. But now he is considered a folk hero? What a buffoon! And he wasn't the only criminal in the family. The conviction of Winnie Mandela for kidnapping and being an accessory to assault was one more blow to the internal peace process in South Africa. It was probably both inevitable and called for by events of a radically different, though very recent, past. And it is probably not trumped up. The sentencing of the convicted child welfare expert who was South Africa's first Diploma-D black social worker 36 years ago is awaited. Through South Africa's history, the just and the unjust, the corrupt and the incorruptible, have coexisted. Here a white institution of justice was catching up inexorably to events that happened a little more than 2 years ago in a climate of white-imposed black anarchy, where the judicial institutions were the enemy and the highest-minded citizens were outlawed. In that context, when P.W. Botha was still the white president and the venerable Nelson Mandela was in prison seemingly for life, Mrs. Mandela was both the mother of the nation, and alone and vulnerable. She was also, in the views of some other people in the African National Congress, too big for her britches and out of control. She tolerated a bodyguard of youths who both protected her and terrorized others in Soweto. That was as recent as December 1988, when some of her associates kidnapped 4 youths and beat them. 1, Stompe Sipe, age 14, died. Mrs. Mandela's driver was convicted of his murder and sentenced to death. Her complicity was a matter of dispute. Now, after a lengthy trial, Judge M.S. Stegman has convicted her of conspiracy in kidnapping and assault, and branded her a calm, composed, unblushing and unprincipled liar. Unforgivable things did transpire at her home, almost certainly with her knowledge. Calm, composed, unblushing and unprincipled lying is a technique of survival learned by those under oppression. Since Mr. Mandela emerged from prison to negotiate the South African future as an acknowledged national leader, Mrs. Mandela's role has shrunk back to one she could handle. He clearly believes that she was made to suffer for his prominence. She is now discredited. Last month she lost election in a secret ballot for president of the ANC Women's League, which to some extent must harm him as well. That is a shame because he is indispensable to any constructive future. But the conviction of Winnie Mandela is not the leading tragedy in South Africa today. That is the communal fighting between ANC and rivaling Xhosa adherents, between Xhosa and Zulu, which threatens to shatter any chance of peaceful dialogue and to invite the reimposition of police state controls. The humiliation of Winnie Mandela distracts South Africans from what really matters. As you can plainly see, Obama has a way of looking up to the most controversial figures in history. There is no doubt that Mandela was key in ending the evil apartheid in South Africa. And the leftist propaganda machine turned him into a hero for it, but what the left always seem to leave out are the methods chosen to achieve the goal. Thank you for watching this video. What do you think about this? Share this on Facebook and Twitter along with your comments.